Hey guys, what's up? Zeke of my house. I have not done one of these possibly ever, so I'm going to do a room tour because I own 1,500 plus video games and I want to show them to you. And it's also for, purposes of documentation, stuff like that, in case I lose it all in a forest fire or some shit like that. So let's get this started. Alright, here we go. It's going to be ghetto style. I was originally going to use one of my 2 tripods, but screw it. Let's do it by hand. These are my PlayStation 2 games that I don't care very much about. The other ones are over there, which I shall show you later, but there are some good ones here, like The Bard's Tale, that's a good game. Beyond Good and Evil is a very good game. I just don't really care about them very much, because though they are good, I didn't enjoy them. Clock Tower 3 is kind of expensive, I guess. The Dead or Alive series I hate with a passion, but I have to keep it because I'm a collector. And collectors have a problem. Dragon Quest, a very good RPG, and a actually very underrated game by 3DO. You fly around as a dragon on that one, and burn people. It's very fun. And anyone who enjoys Destruction Derby, Driven to Destruction is a fantastic spiritual successor. Everblue is very interesting as it is a underwater, scuba diving simulator. And Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is awful. Out of the way, Hulk. Final Fantasy 12, which is actually fairly decent. I keep them like this because there's limited shelf space, and it actually is kind of easy. I just lift up one here, and then I can move this one. Freak Out is a very interesting game where you use your hair as a weapon. Futurama is worth a couple of bucks, I guess, or at least the American version is. Godzilla Unleashed is a fantastic game. I'm still looking forward to Destroy All Monsters. The Grand Theft Auto series. My other ones are in the better games spot. Guilty Gear Isuka, or however you want to pronounce that, is actually very, very good. It's not your average Guilty Gear game. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Much like Dragon's Crown, except it's very, very difficult. So I recommend that one. Just Cause is fantastic. And in case you're wondering, the reason none of these have very interesting spines is because they're all PAL. Except a few of them, like Kessen, which has... Get out of the way. A warlord on it. The Kingdom Hearts franchise. I did not like Kingdom Hearts 1, and I'm apathetic about Kingdom Hearts 2. It's not a bad game. It's not a good game either. The game that killed the King of Fighters series. 2 copies of Mac and Chow Demon Sword. Also, if anyone's interested in trading for these are all up for trade. And I have 2 copies of this because I don't know why, it's not worth anything. Malice, another very interesting game where you play as a goddess who has died and is doing a favor for another god so that she can come back to life. A lot of very interesting weapons, very Banjo-Kazooie-ish. Mark of Kree, which is very interesting. Next section. Mythmakers. I am looking for the other Mythmakers games, but I'm not really hoping to find them because they're all pretty bad. That one is a Super Monkey Ball clone. Odin Sphere, which is a game by Vanillaware, I believe. Am I correct in assuming that? It says Atlas, but I know this is by Vanillaware. That's the kind of game they make. Once again, like Dragon's Crown. And it's a 2D art style, very good looking. I have Onimusha 1, 2, and Onimusha 3 and 4 are currently at the cleaning station, which I shall show later. The Operative, a very good game. Phantasy Star Universe and Phantasy Star Universe Ambition of the Illuminus. Fantastic RPGs. Yeah, so let me get on my knees. That's fucking gross. I own 2 copies of Play It Pinball. The Prince of Persia trilogy, which collects... Which ones does it collect? Two Thrones, Warrior Within, and Sands of Time. That's all in there. And I have not played a single one of them. Except for the Sands of Time, which I own this because it is a not to be sold separately copy, aka label variant. Psychonauts, which everyone tells me is very good. I own 2 copies of Red Faction 2 because I love Red Faction 2. Return to Castle Wolfenstein, which is excellent on the PC. And I am looking for a copy of Resident Evil 4 that has the actual stuff in it. Not just one with a crappy label like that. Get back in there, This is how you work with one hand. Rogue Galaxy, fantastic RPG. And Run Like Hell, which is absolutely abominable. Second Sight, which is this what I'm thinking it is? Yep. Very decent horror game. 2 games in the Shadow Heart series. I'm looking for the last one. Sly Raccoon and Sly 3. I'm not really looking for the other Sly games because I don't like them at all. I get what the developer's trying to do, but they just bore me. SNK vs Capcom Chaos. Best fighting game on the PlayStation 2 in my opinion. And Smuggler's Run, which is a Dune Buggy game made by Rockstar, which is very, very good. I am looking for Summoner 2. This is another example of one that has an interesting label, but is still PAL, and that is Super Buster Move. And that is actually a very interesting cover. Hey, Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. I'm not really a fan of Super Monkey Ball. Oh, that's strange. This should be over in the good game section, because I do like this game. I will transport that over there now. One of the many games made by Phoenix, which is that company there. I'm looking for all of them because they're just a very cool company in my opinion. They're a UK-based company, or they were before they were shut down, who made really, really bad PlayStation 2 games. The Thing is fucking awful. Theme Park World is great. Trapped is a kind of interesting horror game where you set up all these traps before the monsters come in and then see how well you've done. Balkan, very underrated game and very cheap. It's I forget what franchise it's from, but you play as a mech in a 2D side-scrolling style. It's, I'd say a little bit like Metal Slug, but it's really not. It's like Contra, if you'll believe that. Beautiful Joe, which I am looking to replace the cover on. Katamari games, they're kind of cool. Just from a artistic standpoint. And that's all there. So we'll transport that over later, but we still need to show all of these. These are my CDs, mostly Disney, honestly. Because I don't really see the point in having CDs anymore. I just have them all on my hard drive. National Geographic Wildlife things, they gave these away in the Sunday paper, and I love them to death. These are games that don't have the discs, which I am looking for. Also, if anybody wants those. Yeah. my PSP game collection, which is a work of labor and love. It's very hard to find good PlayStation portable games, so I'll move these ones out of the way and then show you what's up. And welcome back. As you see, we're doing the PSP games. And this is when Sony started to allow developers to... not fucking developers, publishers to add interesting covers to... do I keep saying to the spines of the labels. So we'll go through these, just kind of showing off each one individually. SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. Crazy Taxi, which is actually a very good port of both 1 and 2. Beautiful Joe Red Hot Wumble, which is a shameless Smash Brothers clone. I was trying to think of the name. Midnight Club LA Remix, actually very good, as is the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions. Daxter, which is one of the games you have to have for your PSP. It's an essential. Previously owned by Harrison Jones, it's just like the original Jack games, except you're playing as Daxter, who got into pest control for some reason. This says Final Fantasy 2, but it's actually Final Fantasy 1, and this is how I played Final Fantasy 1. I don't have an original copy, and I am looking to replace the label on that one. Key of Heaven. I have not played very much of this, but I know it is a action RPG in the style of Dynasty Warriors, so if anyone's interested in that, might want to check out Key of Heaven. Gurman's A Monstrous Adventure. A very sweet action RPG, or I wouldn't consider this an RPG, just a kind of action-adventure game, published by 505 Games, which does have their moments. You play as a girl who has newly moved to a town, and she finds monsters who request her help in rebuilding their city. You go out, go through levels, it's a lot of fun, it's very cutesy. Luminous, or Luminans, or Lumins, I'm not sure how you would pronounce it. A Tetris-style puzzle game that uses music as a indicator for things. Number 2 isn't that great because they, instead of having indie stuff, they chose a bunch of kind of big-name people. I still recommend it because it's a Lumens game. That's very good. And a actual copy of Final Fantasy 2. Don't worry, I did not pay $44 for this. I paid, I believe, $12. It is the best $12 I ever spent. One of the best PSP games. One of the best video games, period, in my opinion. Taking everything from the Final Fantasy formula and just improving on it. That's what a sequel is supposed to be. Every Extend Extra, which I believe is made by the same people as Luminous. I compare this to Rez because I cannot think of anything else to compare it to. Nothing I could say could really explain it. You'll have to look up gameplay. Ratchet & Clank Size Matters, my first PSP game. I must have beat this 6 times, 7 times maybe. I would speed run this game and get through it in 2 hours flat. My favorite Ratchet & Clank game by far. Unfortunately, I no longer have the manual, but I always will keep this copy because it's the one that came with my PSP all the way back in Christmas of 2009. Miami Vice, the game. It controls like Resident Evil 4, and that's why I wanted to pick it up. It's not bad. Just like the movie it's based on. The remake of Miami Vice was pretty decent. God of War Ghost of Sparta. This is very good, but the best way to play this is on the God of War Origins collection for the PlayStation 3, which updates it to 3D graphics, not 3D, HD graphics, and just gives it a new coat of paint, if you will. Archer McLean's Mercury interesting puzzle game where you use slime to run around the level and try and solve logic puzzles. There's also a PlayStation 2 version which I shall be showing later. Platypus. This started off as a Flash game actually and made its way to the PSP in, I want to say 2007. 2008, I was close. It's a spaceship shooter that uses claymation. From an artistic standpoint, that is a genius move, and I recommend this thoroughly. It's one of the cheapest PSP games out there. There's really no reason not to have it. Hot Pixel, which is a what's it called? The Wario Land games. Not the Wario Land, WarioWare, where you have kind of 3 or 4 second mini games that go on to the next one, except it's in the style of Atari, so you have a kind of bunch of old Atari games that you need to do it with. I recommend it, it's a cool game. One of my few UMD movies, Steam Boy. I do like Steam Boy. Considering we don't really have a cyberpunk movie, apart from Hugo, which is very good, I think Steam Boy is a very good representation of what steampunk should be. And you'll have to forgive me if I'm not getting all these in shot. I'm looking at the games and not through the viewfinder. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Story is not one of the better Grand Theft Autos, but considering they condensed 3 down to a PlayStation portable version is... what's the word? Impressive. Let's go with that. Dante's Inferno, which is actually a very good version of... It's just a port down from the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions, and considering Dante's Inferno, it's a God of War clone in the highest respect, so... I don't know, it has good visuals, good gameplay. I'm not sure if I can recommend it, really. Myst, which was ported to every video game system under the sun and will not die. This is my version of choice. I have finished this game with a guide by my side, so... really, if you want to know what Myst is, look up gameplay. And just watch a complete walkthrough of it. SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1. I am looking for Volume 2 because I do want to find the other Metal Slug games, but this has some very good Neo Geo games on it, like Metal Slug, Fatal Fury, Magician Lord, which is absolutely fantastic. And the one I've played the most is Baseball Stars 2, so I recommend that thoroughly. Passport to London. I have this because I am interested in traveling to London one day, and I thought it might be interesting to see what's there. It is cool. TNA Impact Cross the Line, which I believe is the second TNA wrestling game. I enjoy these because they're kind of arcadey. Other than that, it's not all that great. Rocky Balboa. Don't let this fool you. This is fantastic. It's... I'll use the word arcadey again. It's an arcadey game, actually, where you just fight all the good Rocky guys. Highly recommended. Limited edition of the 3rd birthday. Fucking abysmal. Start with Parasite Eve and Parasite Eve 2. Do not play this. This is bad. They take the protagonist and just... Ugh. They give her the Tomb Raider thing where they make her more human, except they screwed up in the 3rd birthday where they forgot to actually add character. They just had a whimpering woman. A better game though is Lord of Arcana, which is, to be honest, a Monster Hunter clone, but a very good one. Controls way better than Monster Hunter actually. And I know much of the appeal of Monster Hunter is having limited movement, so I recommend it. And if you can get this Slayer edition, it does have a art book and a CD soundtrack. Silent Hill Origins, which was the first Silent Hill game I ever played, so my introduction to the franchise was a very, very good one. I'd compare it to Silent Hill 1 more than anything else, but I don't want to give away too much of this. You'll have to play it for yourself. Star Wars Battlefront Elite Squadron. This goes for silly money in Australia and is absolutely awful. Talkman, which I don't know why I bought this. I think I bought it because I wanted to see how the microphone works. Because it's supposed to help you teach a new language, but it does not work at all. You say hello to Talkman and he says, "What about that restaurant?" 30-second hero or half-minute hero. This is getting a sequel, which I'm very glad about, except it's going to be PC only. Or maybe it'll be released on the eStore. You get 30 seconds to complete each objective unless you gain more time by doing things. It's fucking frantic, and I love it to death. It also takes a lot of jibs of Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest games like that. Family Guy, the video game, not a fan of Family Guy. Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus. This is just a bunch of add-on missions to Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, which was okay, I guess. The Silent Hill Experience, which is a bunch of interviews, comic books and stuff like that from the Silent Hill franchise, all put on a handy UMD disc. It's cool to just go through. It's kind of like Metal Gear Acid, if you will. Ridge Racer. I love me some Ridge Racer. I'm just kind of blasting through these now because I don't want to get to other things. Shinobi Tales of the Ninja. Love this game. Death Jr., which is awful. Awful. Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles. I would recommend this if you didn't have to jump through hoops to unlock Symphony of the Night and Dracula X Rondo of Blood. It promises them on the back enhanced versions of the classic Dracula X, and includes and includes Symphony of the Night. But they're well hidden. I had to search for hours to find the versions of the game. It's not how business should be done. Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast, which is the best Outrun game in my opinion. There's a lot of drifting actually, and it's good. I'd recommend it. I'm running out of words to say. Paprika! I bought this because it's by the same people who did Tokyo Godfather. I'm not that much into anime anymore, but back when I bought it I was. Very surreal. I'd recommend it if you're on a trip, grub gun. Activision Hits Remix. Just a bunch of Activision games. I was collecting every version of King Kong, the official game of the movie, and this is just one of them. God of War Chains of Olympus, as with Ghost of Sparta, better on the PS3 collection. And Jak and Daxter The Lost Frontier, which is excellent. I also have some loose games here. Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, which is a good RPG. Very interesting characters. Very likable characters. Holy Invasion of Privacy, Batman. And on the box it actually is longer, so... This is a reverse dungeon crawler where you set up monsters to defeat a hero that comes in. And Resistance Retribution. I also have a few more PSP games here. The original Luminous, Twisted Metal Head-On, Grip Shift, Purple Crows, which is very good, Harvey Birdman, which I believe this came out before any of the Phoenix Wright games actually, so that's cool, because it's a Phoenix Wright type of game. EA Replay, which is the best way to play Ultima 7. Darksiders Chronicles. I'm not a huge fan of Darksiders, but Darkstalkers, but I still think it's cool. Everybody's Golf, which I've heard is great. A chess game, Cube, which is a puzzle game, I think released by Sega actually. Taito Legends Powered Up, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which is awful. Breath of Fire 3, which is my favorite RPG of all time, baby. And Capcom Classics Collection. Also have my PlayStation Vita games here. which I don't have a whole lot, but I'll just show you the ones I have. Disgaea 3, Absence of Detention. Little Big Planet. Little Big Planet is the best franchise ever, from an artistic standpoint. Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, not really sure why I bought that. Dragon Hunter Alliance, originally on the PlayStation Store, then it got a PS Vita release. Shinobi 2, one of the exclusives for the PlayStation Vita. Very good game. It's a assassin type game where you go around feudal Japan. Silent Hill Book of Memories, another exclusive, a dungeon crawler with Silent Hill characters. I think it's interesting. The Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, which is how I played number 3. Gravity Rush, a PlayStation Vita exclusive, very good. You play as a lady named Cat, and you have the power to control gravity so you can fly. And there's a good story too. Uncharted Golden Abyss, another PlayStation Vita exclusive. Luminous Electronic Symphony, you might as well buy the PSP version. Resistance Burning Skies, another PS Vita exclusive, not a good game. Dragon's Crown, which is still sealed because I play it on the PlayStation 3. I will open it one day. Tearaway, which is probably the best game on the PlayStation Vita by far, but I'd wait for a price drop because it is very short. And Virtue's Last Reward, which is fucking awesome, but it was also released on the 3DS. And we're back. This might have to be a two-parter. Sorry for showing every individual PlayStation Portable game, but I did want to talk about each one of them individually. I shan't be doing that for the PlayStation 1 games, but they do go one behind, so I'll have to move a lot of them, so talk to you in a sec. And now we get to the good stuff, the PlayStation 1 games. Sorry if has a film grain or something, but it is fairly dark in the shelf, so you'll have to put up with that, actually. I don't have my PlayStation 1 games in any actual order because I just keep them in my head. I know which ones I have and which ones I don't. I'll go through these just to kind of show you. I'll point out any that are interesting. Steel Rain. No wait, that one's not interesting. That one fucking sucks. Crash Bandicoot 3 War, best Crash Bandicoot game by far. Point Blank 2, which is a pricey game. Wu-Tang Taste the Pain, which is worth more than it should be. It's an interesting game, actually. Buzznik, which is a cool puzzle game. I'd recommend it. Soul Blade, the original Soul Calibur. Check it out if you don't have it. Tekken 3, best fighting game of all time. Tunguska, Legends of Faith. Mission Impossible. Tunnel B1, and Viva Football. And Metal Gear Solid, which kicked off a great franchise, as did Wing Commander 3. I'll show you these ones. I like to say now, I do not recommend stacking CD-based media horizontally because the data label fucks up quicker. And they only have a limited lifespan anyway. All discs will be dead within 20 years. Isn't that fun? All of these within 10 years will be dead. Wild Knives is a cool platformer. Pandemonium as well. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, the best Alone in the Dark game by far. In the Hunt, which is Metal Slug but with submarines. Guardian of Darkness, which is interesting. War of the Worlds, which is interesting that it even got a release. Oh, look at that, I have 2 copies of Crash Bandicoot. Doom, which is a very good port. Fighter Maker. Fighter Maker is an interesting game where you make your own fighting game characters and pit them against each other. Unfortunately, it's not very good. Breath of Fire 3, favorite RPG of all time. Resident Evil 2. Steel Harbinger, which is a good, I believe, first-person shooter. And Duke Nukem, my faves. I have to get on my belly for this one, when I do for you people. These are, let's hold that steadily, the remainder of my PlayStation 1 games. Sorry, I've had to Zoom in a bit so it might be shaky. R-Type Delta, very good game. Final Fantasy VII, don't like it at all. Sonic Wings, my baby. Very good game. Disruptor is very good. And D, very interesting FMV horror game for anyone who's interested. And Silent Hill, one of the best horror games of all time. Yeah. Ah, my poor stomach. This is taking a toll on me. Croc, Sentinel Returns, which is a sequel to the legendary PC game where you play as a character trying to avoid the gaze of a sentinel and you teleport around. You get forbidden memories, which is awful. Duke Nukem Land of the Babes, aka Duke Nukem meets Tomb Raider. Strikers 1945, very good. Road Rash, very good game. And Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which is The Tomb Raider games, which are awful. I'm pointing that out. The original ones were trash. Dune, which is a very good strategy game. Bust a Move 2 and Devil Dice, two good puzzle games. Aquanaut's Holiday, how do I explain this? Kind of oil rig simulator based underwater. Another copy of Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. Whew, and that's all my PlayStation 1 games, so we'll move on to the next segment. Alright, the next part I thought I might show you some posters. Let me fix the light. Whew, that's better. Alright, let me show you some posters I have up on the wall. This is a hard canvas thing for Bambi. This is a hard canvas thing for Prince of Egypt. Just a random poster for The Darkness 2. Awesome game. Thank you, Paul Jenkins, for getting us that. Just a thing for Grand Theft Auto 5. Another thing for Batman Arkham Origins. I just cut those out of a magazine, actually. Red vs. Blue, which I am a fan of. I'm not a fan of when it tries to do storytelling, just humor. A clock that has been stuck on 1:30 since 2011. Skyward Sword. Zelda 25th anniversary. And as soon as I get another poster, I am ripping that fucker down. X-Men, I believe this was released with X-Men Legends. Super 8, very good movie. Duke Nukem Forever, I enjoy it. I don't care what anyone says, it's a cool game. Spice and Wolf, not a huge fan of anime anymore, but this was the last anime I really watched, so I thought, when I found a poster of it, yeah, I'll get it. I did enjoy it. It's actually very economical, it teaches you about currency of all things. The Tomb Raider reboot, this was before they had... This was a previous version of Lara Croft before they fixed all her stuff, so she does look a little bit off. Bully Scholarship Edition. And forgive me, Star Wars fans, but Darth Maul was a fucking badass. And that, which isn't based on Mario, but I like to believe it is, because it looks cool. Alright, now I'm standing on a chair, endangering myself for you people, to show you the very dusty top shelf segment. This is a money box. Luffy from One Piece, don't watch it anymore. Saruman. I forget which character that is, but he's from Ghostbusters, and when you move his arm... Yeah. Jim from Treasure Planet. And one of the characters from Toy Soldiers. Agumon, and behind him are some Star Wars figures. Jack Skellington. I don't really like it. Some Transformers. This section is overcrowded, so I'll have to pull stuff out. We have some Dragon Ball Z cards. I don't really want to show them off, but Garlic Jr., because he's awesome. A Scramble tabletop arcade machine. A few things that I send out to people with when I do trades with them. I collect buttons somewhat, and under them are just like a few handhelds. Don't judge, I found it and thought it looked funny. I found it at Bookfest and my friend said he'd buy it for me, and by God, he fucking bought it. The looks we got from the people. Right, now I'm never going to... There we go. A power-up mushroom. Senor Ding Dong. I have a bunch of Dragon Ball Z figures. I mean... Simpsons figurines. I was saying Dragon Ball Z because we have a Krillin card in the background. It's actually a card disc, which they didn't take off very well. Mappy for the Japanese Sega Game Gear. Fantastic game. Peter Griffin. Whenever EB Games gives me a card, I put them in that. I do not drink this shit, but it had Halo 4 on it. And it was something my brother drank, so that is that. I don't know what that is, just a bubble dragon. Blastoise. Wally. Death from Family Guy, the Joker, a werewolf, Simon, Donkey Kong, the thing that Grubgun sent me, Pikachu, Raphael, and some promo items, which I shall show you. This was given away with Tearaway, Resistance Burning Skies, Battlefield 4, these are dog tags. I don't own the game, but when I was in EB Games, the guy gave them to me. Dice, which were released from Duke Nukem Forever, and of all these strange things to come in a collector's edition, a pack of condoms. I'm not even joking, these are real condoms. Will I ever get to use them? Stay tuned to find out. We have a few more kind of interesting things. A PSP Game Shark, which was released with a 9 Inch Nails CD. A Mario and Sonic thingy that was released with a children's magazine. The collector's edition of Sonic Colors for the Nintendo DS comes with a figure. Michael Jackson. My 2 Sega Saturn games, Pro Pinball and Destruction Derby. Sorry about that, I was having camera issues. I'll show you all of these. These are some promo discs, which are actually full games for some CDI things. Very hard to find. We have Crime Patrol. This is actually a Amiga CD32 demo disc. The Last Bounty Hunter. Most of these are very bad games. Zelda's Adventure, which is actually fairly good. Mad Dog 2, cool FMV shooter. Same with Drug Wars. Hotel Mario, which gets a bad rap. Mad Dog McCree. And Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon. Very interesting stuff. We have some of my other Philips CDI games. Let me fix the camera quick. There we go, we have International Tennis Open, Rio 88 with Tina Turner, which is a concert, Caesar's World of Gambling, Link the Faces of Evil, very good game, Axis and Allies, Shark Alert, which is an educational game, Earth Command, The Palm Springs Open, I am shaking like an idiot. Escape from Cyber City, probably the best FMV game on the Philips CDI, Treasures of the Smithsonian, which is very interesting, a look through of the Smithsonian, Inca, which is a cool puzzle game, Little Devil, which is a cool dungeon crawler, actually. And for the Amiga CD 32, games and goodies, and now that's what I call games. I also have some shareware versions of some PC games. We have Halloween Harry, Biomenace, and Hocus Pocus. These are released in a small collector's series. I found these in a thrift store one day for $2 each. I forgot to show this. I bought it for Christmas for myself. It is Christmas Nights into Dreams. And I'm not going to explain this. If you want a better explanation of this, Enigma has done a very good video on it, detailing everything about it, so I will link to that video. Unfortunately, I am forced to keep my Xbox 360 games kept horizontally because of spatial issues, but There are some good ones here. Fear is a fantastic game. Nier is one of my favorite games of all time. Out of the way, Smart Homer. The Alien Breed trilogy, which are free on Steam. Lost Planet, which was the start of a horrible franchise. The Dreamcast collection, don't ask me why Bass Fishing is on there, and Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings. Yeah. Collector's Edition of Darkness 2, Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition, Silent Hill Downpour, which is very good, Condemned, which is fantastic. I wish it was on the PlayStation 3. Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, Dodonpachi Resurrection. One thing I don't understand about Dodonpachi Resurrection, it has babes on the cover, but there aren't any babes in the game. Minecraft, the Xbox 360 edition, I prefer the PC one, but that's my prerogative. Earth Defense Force 2017, very good game. Child of Eden, which is very good. A collection which was only released in PAL territories that has Outland, From Dust, and Beyond Good and Evil HD, which, once the Xbox Live Marketplace closes down, that's going to be the only way you can get those, so grab that while you can. It is region free. One Chibara, Bikini Samurai Squad, it's exactly what it sounds like, and it's trash. And Dragon Age Origin Collector's Edition, which comes with a fold-out map. Alright, we'll work our way up in this segment. We have Scourge, which is a cool game, kind of like Metroid. Final Fantasy 3, which is a fucking awful version of it. It replaces the characters of Polygons, Children of Mana, XG Blast. Dead and Furious was a cool horror game. Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D, which is cool. Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why'd You Steal Our Garbage? It's alright. Resident Evil Deadly Silence, one of the best Resident Evil games out there. Harvest Moon DS, Yoshi's Island 2, Mega Man Zero Collection. Let me hold this properly. Sorry if I have shaky hands. Bangai-O, Konami Arcade Classics, Metal Slug 7, Kirby's Squeak Squad. Draglade, actually a very good game. Cool story mode, multiplayer. I recommend it. And another code, because I am looking for a better label on, but a cool puzzle game with a good story. Oh wait, I forgot to show this. I also have Tales of Eternia for the PSP. I have Sonic Chronicles. That'll never focus in my lifetime. Shinobi for the PlayStation Vita. 3DS. Very good. Bomberman Land 2. Lunar Knights. Alien Infestation and Thor God of War. Both games by... Shit, I don't remember. But two very good games. I check out both of them. Paper Mario Sticker Star, which was a good return to form for the Paper Mario games. Rayman 3D, not that great. Metroid Prime Hunters, which is pretty cool. Lunar Genesis is great. And that's... Oh wait. Professor Layton and the Last Spectre. Overlord. SNK Card Fighters, I believe that is. Professor Layton and the Lost Future, Dream Trigger, which is very cool, and The Legend of Cage 2. Dreadfully sorry about this, but I appear to have misplaced one of my Nintendo DS games. I also own Professor Layton and Pandora's Box, but I do not know where it is, so... oh well, on to my books. Nothing all that interesting, or at least nothing you'll find interesting, but I find a lot of these interesting. We have strategy guides for San Andreas and Oblivion, which is a fucking huge game. While I was into anime, I bought the Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind series. Very good things by Hayao Miyazaki. I collect a bunch of Archie magazines, which I just collected in them. RuneScape, the official handbook. The Record of Lodos War series, which is pretty cool. As a manga, whatever. Garfield, Babes and Bullets, which I bought because I knew it had a kind of risque thing in it for a Garfield comic, which I will find. It'll surprise you, trust me. Has something in a Garfield magazine. Come on, where is it? I know you're somewhere. There we go. If you ever expected to see that in a Garfield magazine. Good gracious. We have some stuff from Marvel Man. And in there we have 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic. A pictorial history of horror movies, which cost me $3. One of the best reads I've ever had. But the best read I've ever had is Mankind Have a Nice Day. Heart of Darkness and Dracula. Someone bought me this for my birthday. It is Really Naughty Dots. And we filled one out. My friends. With friends like that. Rating the movies. Showgirls, Teen Wolves, and Astro Zombies, which is one man's quest to watch every bad movie ever made in the span of a year. And whoa, shit nearly fell down. My baby. World Expo 88, which was in Sydney. It is a pictorial guide to what happened there and all the jazz. I unfortunately wasn't born in 1988, but still very cool to look through. I love this. I love this so much. I've read it back to back. I have some very random boxed items here. Sorry if the lighting's bad. Ace Racers. Blaze Blue Limited Edition, a Pong console, Final Fantasy 13 2 Limited Edition, which is a awful game. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull Limited Edition. And that's all of them. Just out of nowhere, I thought I'd show you this. Ugh. All my PlayStation 1 consoles and a Sega Saturn. There's like 9 in there. I have an addiction, shut up. That and my comic book collection, which I'll show you one day. As well as my... Well, under that is my SpongeBob magazine collection. I do enjoy myself some SpongeBob. In here, I'm collecting a bunch of catalogs for the future, not because they'll be worth anything, but just because 10 years from now, they'll be cool to look through. And my PC games, which I don't have a whole lot, so I shan't be bothered showing. Games that I'm currently playing. Mass Effect 3, Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway, 99 Nights 2, which is good, Test Drive Unlimited 2, and Fist of the North Star, Ken's Raid. Just before I move on, a few consoles. Those are my pickups I'm going to show later. PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, which I use to play PlayStation 1 games as well, Xbox 360, my Famicom clone, and my CDI. Ooh, I forgot to show these in my PlayStation 2 games. Shadow of the Colossus, God of War 2, and Operation Air Assault. This is my DVD and PlayStation 3 collection. Someday I will show you my DVDs. I don't have a whole lot, but what I have is quality shit, so... For now, I'll just show you my PlayStation 3 games. We have... Let me get that down there. Silent Hill HD Collection, best way to play Silent Hill 2 and 3. Last of Us, Mass Effect 2, Fear, and Journey Collector's Edition. I recommend this thoroughly. Let me see if I can fix the lighting. Nope, can't do it. Doom 3 BFG Edition, which is now hidden, look at that! Dead Rising 3 Off the Record, Bioshock Ultimate Rapture Edition, Siren Blood Curse, which is a cool horror game, Metal Gear Solid 4, one of the best ones actually, Arkham Origins, Demon Souls, Anarchy Reigns, Deadly Premonition, which is fucking awesome, Arkham Asylum. Yeah, I opened a door and now it's lighting. Fallout New Vegas, Folklore, which is a cool game, Hyperdimension Neptunia, which is absolutely awful, Remember Me, Just Cause 2, and Sonic Generations. That's all my PlayStation 3 games. I told you there were more games in the PlayStation 2 collection, but firstly, there's my Stewie. From Family Guy, of course. Don't watch it very often anymore. But these are not necessarily my rare, expensive, or necessarily good games, just games that I thoroughly enjoy myself, or have some kind of, what's the word, attachment to, let's say. Shadow of Memories, excellent adventure game. I listed this in my top 10 games, top 5 games I played in 2013, so check that video out. Gun Griffin Blaze, which is another good one. It's... what's it called? It's a mech game, except it's very arcadey and good. Played that one when I was younger, so that's why it's there. I have this demo disc here because it has a Metal Gear Solid 3 demo. Gunbird is a fantastic shooter. Simpsons Hit and Run is GTA meets Simpsons. The 2 Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games are the best dungeon crawlers on the PlayStation 2 by far. Unless you want to count the Shin Megami Tensei games, but I haven't played those yet, so I can't say. And Valkyria Profile Silmeria 2 is quite possibly the best looking game on the PlayStation 2, so check out game footage of that if you haven't already. Twin Caliber, one of the early games I got for the PlayStation 2. I got this back in like 2008 and paid that much for it. It's interesting. It's a horror game where you control someone who has 2 guns and each thumbstick controls one of his arms. Project Snowblind, which was originally going to be a Deus Ex game, but got turned into a first-person sci-fi shooter. Tekken Tag Tournament, of course. Metal Gear Solid 2, which isn't great, but I enjoy it thoroughly. Genji, which is also a very good looking game, especially considering it came out in like 05, 06. Metal Slug 5, which is my favorite Metal Slug. Copies of Tengai and Michigan Report from Hell, both by 505 Game Street. Hard to find games and very expensive. They're both very top quality as well. Tengai is a shooter, Michigan is a horror game. Fur Fighters Vigorous Revenge, which was originally a Dreamcast release. And 2 copies of Metal Gear Solid 3 with case variants, net features, not net features. Yeah, next section, Realm of the Dead, which is an okay hack and slash. Shinobi-Do Way of the Ninja, which I showed on PSP earlier. I'll show you this one. This is Simpsons Wrestling, signed by Nate of the Thrift Dwellers. Hell, it's probably signed by Lester too. Yep, there we go. I did a trade way back. April 2012. Was it really that long ago? Ah, man. Thrift Dwellers, we need to do another trade sometime. But I always keep that with my good stuff because I was chuffed when I got that. I thought that was awesome. Time Splitters, which is awesome. Oh, I didn't know I had Ratchet & Clank 2. God Hand, very interesting game. Half-Life, one of the greats of all time. Rez, I'm actually... don't judge me on this, but I'm looking for a trans vibrator, which is a dildo controller for Rez. It was only released in Japan, of course, but... oh, it looks interesting. And of course, Rez is a rhythm and music style game, so get with the beat, people. Fahrenheit, which is fantastic. One of the Quantic Dream creations by Dave, whatever his name is. Auto Modelista, which is a racing game with kind of cartoony graphics. Very good. Taito Legends 2, I am looking for Taito Legends 1. Darwin, which is a late release game for the PlayStation 2. You play as a bunch of cavemen doing strategy type things, except it's all in real time. And the 2 Silent Hill games I have for the PlayStation 2, both of them are fantastic. People tell me that Silent Hill For the Room isn't that great, but I love it. People say it shouldn't be a Silent Hill game. You don't know what you're on about. It's great. Then we have GTA San Andreas, Tekken 5, Metal Arm's Glitch in the System, which is a good multiplayer game if you have a multi-tap. 1 and 2 of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai series. I don't have number 3 yet, but I'm looking for it, but it is rather expensive. I have both the original version of Devil May Cry 3 and the special edition of Devil May Cry 3. The difference is this version is immensely harder. They released a special edition, Capcom did, because the first one was just so difficult. Yeah, that's the kind of gamers we were back then. Devil May Cry 2, fucking love Devil May Cry 2. I don't care what anyone says. It's great. It's a good game. The same people who complain about DMC. It's a good game. Come on, man. And these are the rest of my big box CDI games. We have Tetris. Tell Me Why. I have these here just to have them there. I don't have room for them anywhere else, and all of them aren't that great. Defender of the Crown is a good game. Sort of like that. A Visit to Sesame Street. Cartoon Junkie. Pinball. A Visit to Sesame Street Letters. That's a variant. Cool Oldies Jukebox. A lot of these aren't actually games. I just say the ones that are games. Power Hitter. Rand McNally. Mystic Midway, which is actually a FMV shooter. Check that out if you don't know it already. Sargon Chess, which is like battle chess. Pecos Bill, which is okay. Dark Castle, which is it's abysmal. And Battleship. We also have that one, which is actually fairly interesting if you don't know it already. It's a interactive storybook. And that's all for this room, so let's get to the next one. Childhood toy chest. It's coming apart in places, but it holds the stuff, so what's in here, you might ask? Boxes are what's in here. Very interesting boxes, actually. We have one for my Family clone, one for the game track. There's a Master System box. I have 2 PlayStation 2 boxes, that one and a blue one under there, as well as a box of G-Con 45. My PS3 box, Commodore 64, PS Vita. What is under here? Hold on a sec. I don't remember what's under all of these. Woo! That is the box for my PlayStation 1 and my N64. Let me get these all back in and I'll continue filming. There we go, they're back in. We have a special edition PlayStation 3, which belongs to my brother, but he gave me the box. It's a Grand Theft Auto 5 Pack-In Edition. We have a PSP box down there, a PlayStation 2 Silver Edition, which I picked up recently. Yeah. This was supposed to be a gun for the PlayStation 1, just made by an off-brand company called Falcon, but when I opened it inside, there was that's right, the Bandai WonderSwan. Very interesting console, though it didn't really take off in English-speaking countries, and a game booster, which allows you to play original Game Boy games on your PlayStation 1. Very cool stuff. I haven't seen too many of them around. What else have we got in here? The Xbox 360 box, and a steering wheel for the N64, which I'll probably get rid of eventually. And that's all my... No wait, that's not all my boxed items. I still have some in this. So in here we have some more stuff. We have SingStar and Dino Den boxed. Once again, Dino Den was a PAL exclusive. Super Ghouls and Ghost box, there's the cartridge. I keep all of my Game Boy games in there. If anyone wants to see my Game Boy collection, just ask me. A box for Real World Golf for the PlayStation 2, which was a early predecessor to the Wii, actually. Using motion controls before it really took off in popularity. I used to collect box Game Boy Advance games. I don't too often now, unless I just find them. We have Robots, World Tour Poker, or World Poker Tour, King Kong, the official game of the movie. This is actually a RPG, so anyone interested, check that out. It's not bad at all. Digimon Battle Spirit 2, which is unfortunately a bootleg, but still a good game nonetheless. And Doom for the PlayStation. Doom for the Game Boy Advance, very good port. I traded to get this with Alan Garnett, check out his channel. X vs. Sever, another PlayStation... What do I keep saying? Another first-person shooter for the Game Boy Advance. Plays quite well. X-Blade, Inline Skater, not horrible. 007, Everything or Nothing, which I thought this was the first-person shooter, but it wasn't. Mario Kart Super Circuit. And Payback, which I don't remember too much about. Also have 2 boxed Nintendo 64 games. Don't have a huge collection of boxed Nintendo 64 games, those are it. And my Nintendo 2DS boxed. I don't use it, I use my 3DS, but it's still cool to have just as a novelty, you know. A random F-Zero. This is an NTSC cartridge, which means I cannot play it, if anybody wants it. A N64 Passport Plus. This is used to play Japanese and US games on a PAL Nintendo 64, so very useful. A 4-in-1 game pack for the Atari 2600. My Atari 2600 is fucked right now, so can't play it. And the Final Fantasy VIII official soundtrack. As bad as the story was in Final Fantasy VIII, they always deliver on the music, and I mean always. Even Final Fantasy XIII delivered on the music. Except for the J-pop at the end, but I can forgive it for that. And so, let's go downstairs. This is the stuff you people came to see, isn't it? The actual retro stuff. Well, I'm going to show that later. First, I'll show you this stuff, which is digital Xbox games. They also have this, which is a lead from any machine into my laptop. If I ever want to do some game capture or anything. Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, which I'm trading to someone else, and Halo 2 Collector's Edition. And a few original Xbox games. I don't have a whole lot. In fact, the only ones I'll collect is ones that are better ports on the PlayStation 2 version or ones that aren't on the PlayStation 2. Controllers, we have an Xbox One and a GameCube one. Don't have a GameCube, I have a Nintendo Wii, which I use. And that's mostly because I don't own any GameCube games, because I don't like the GameCube. This is the N64 Passport Plus. You put in a PAL N64 game and an NTSC N64 game, and then you can play it. Random manual. My Super Nintendo collection, which at the moment isn't very much. I'm trying to show you a better look. Unfortunately, none of these are up for trade because, I don't know, something about the Super Nintendo makes me not want to trade stuff away. And it's not because I enjoy the game so much, it's just because it's Super Nintendo. You don't see Super Nintendo stuff a whole lot. There's my Super Game Boy. Ooh. I was wondering where this got to. I've been looking for this for a while. I knew I had this boxed somewhere. Alright, there you go. I haven't shown the consoles. There's my spare Super Nintendo I used to play. I have everything connected up to there, and a AV switcher, and there's a ton of cords. VHS player, have not used in a while, though I am planning to watch something later. N64 with my favorite Nintendo 64 game in there, play it all the time. I use this instead of my normal Mega Drive because, how do I explain this? Ah yes, I can play any kind of game on this as long as it has the Mega Drive or Genesis title, so Japanese, American, Russian, I can do any of them. My TV, which I originally bought because it had an inbuilt VHS player. That VHS player is since busted. And my Sega Master System Model 2, you saw the box for it earlier. I have an original Xbox down there, and something you don't see too often, Amiga CD32. there's my VHS collection. It goes 3 back. Alright, let's get this out of the way. So I moved stuff up there so we can look at it. Let's start with the Master System. We have GP Ride, a fantastic game. Forgotten Worlds. Alex Kidd in High Tech World is very good. Hey, you're not a Master System game. Has the white cover, I got confused. Echo the Dolphin, not a bad port. Golden Axe, fantastic. And Altered Beast. Terminator, which is a very good version of it. Basketball Nightmare, which is an interesting basketball game where you play as werewolves and such. Jurassic Park, which is alright. It's more of a shooter than anything. Gain Ground, which is one of my pet peeves. I absolutely love the cover of this game. Look at that. Sorry, I can't hold the camera properly. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which I cannot get working because it had a beehive set up in it. Aladdin, which is much like the NES version of Aladdin, actually, for anyone who's interested. Very cool game. Lucky Dime Caper. Robocop vs. Terminator, which is the only Master System game I know to come with a black case instead of the normal white. Sonic there, good one. Also have my Master System games down here. We'll look through those in a minute. And now for the boxed Mega Drive games. Super Baseball 2020 is a very, very good game. Maximum Carnage is fantastic. Ariel the Little Mermaid. Don't judge it, it's not bad at all. Very Echo-like. This has an interesting story. I found this while I was doing work experience in a library. They had it in their Lost and Found, and no one was ever going to claim it. It had been there for like 6 months and they were just going to throw it out, so they said I could have it. Very grateful for that, even though it's not a great game. But very, very grateful. Zero Tolerance, early first-person shooter on the Genesis. Only NES game and it's boxed. Super Glove Ball. Sonic the Hedgehog, a classic. Sonic 2, a classic. Shining in the Darkness, the best game on the Genesis, or Mega Drive. Actually, it is the Genesis version. I take that back. Shining Force 1 is the best game on the Mega Drive. Fantastic Dizzy, which is cool, and Another World, which is a very interesting game. Got a release on Steam. NBA Jam, Get in the Jam. Crew Ball, which is Motley Crue Pinball, no joke. The better version of Mortal Kombat. Booger Man, it's very weird. And that's all of them, so now I'll show you the loose cartridges. And this is the leftover of my Master System games. I'll point out a few interesting ones. Running Battle is a good side-scrolling shooter, beat 'em up. Fantasy Zone is a good version. Master of Darkness, a shameless Castlevania ripoff. The Ninja, which is absolutely awesome, actually. Psycho Fox, one of the best games on the Master System as a platformer. Altered Beast, not a bad version. Scramble Spirits, when I originally bought this, I thought it might have been Power Strike 2, which is... it's a pricey one on the Master System for sure. They don't call it a holy grail for nothing. Well, it wouldn't be holy, it'd just be a grail. A lot of these are just filler titles because I don't collect a whole lot for the Master System anymore. Ghouls and Ghosts, cool version, better than the NES version. Spellcaster, which is a cool adventure game. Time Soldiers, which is good Akari Warriors clone. Space Harrier is terrible. The worst game ever made by far. Dragon Crystal, which is a roguelike. Believe that. I have multiple versions of this Wonder Boy. It's a good game. This is Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I am looking to get a boxed copy someday. And that's all the Master System games, so let's move on to Nintendo 64. For someone who doesn't like Nintendo 64, I sure have a bloody lot of games for it. Just one thing I'll say, I hate this system so much. The people who do enjoy the system seem to be the people who grew up with it. I was always a PlayStation 1 guy. I had Doom, I had Crash Bandicoot. I was happy with that. Also had Under the Deep, which was alright. But most of the Nintendo 64's library is trash. And I'll point out each and every individual one of them. Pilot Wings is good. Torok 2 is trash. Vigilante 8 is good, but it's on the PlayStation 1 as well. And the PlayStation 1 version is better. This is called, I think, Boop. The cover's ripped, of course, but it's a bad fighting game. Another bad fighting game. A semi-decent racing game. A good kart racer. Actually, a very good game. Robotron 64. WCW Avenger, I have 2 copies of this because it's my favorite game on the system. F1 Pole Position, I played it. Dual Heroes, terrible. Lilac Wars is actually very good. Get 64 is bad. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is pretty good, but the Dreamcast version is better. Air Borders is alright, I guess. It's no SSX. Star Wars Rogue Squadron, never liked this game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, good game, but it's on other systems as well. V-Rally Championship Edition, I don't know about that game. Oh, what was this? Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. It's bad. I'm sorry to people who like it, it's bad. Top Gear Overdrive, Alright Racer, Torok is bad. Perfect Dark is pretty good if you have the expansion pack. Banjo-Kazooie, I have never liked this game. Everything about it just kind of turned me off from it. Same with Donkey Kong 64. Extreme G was pretty good as a Wipeout clone. Starshot is terrible. F1 World Grand Prix is bad. Quake is alright. GoldenEye is actually very good, though it, compared to something like Time Splitters, it doesn't really hold up. Good for multiplayer though. Mission Impossible is, yeah, I'm on the fence about that one. Super Mario 64, I like it. I can sit down and play it for an hour or so. Power Rangers Rescue, God, this is bad. And Forsaken is decent. It's no Descent though. But Bumble, good intro, the rest of the game's kinda iffy. Destruction Derby 64 is actually very good. Rocket Robot on Wheels was bad. Duke Nukem 64 is okay, but they removed the nudity. A little pixelated nudity anyway, so who cares? Another copy of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, who knows why I have that. A really bad condition copy of Blast Corps, which is, yeah, it's okay for a little bit, it gets boring. It's a demolition simulator. Another copy of Banjo-Kazooie, evidently, if anybody wants that. Chameleon Twist 2, which is, it's not one of Sunsoft's better games. San Francisco Wash, which is alright. The slaughtered, awful Castlevania games on the Nintendo 64. This one is Legacy of Darkness. And finally, Killer Instinct Gold. Never liked Killer Instinct. I hate fighting games where you have to juggle opponents. And that's all my N64 games. Whew, I'm up on the tail end of things here. You saw the boxed games, so now it's time to take a look at the cartridges for my second favorite system of all time, the Sega Mega Drive. The reason I love it so much is because it's like the Super Nintendo, but so much cheaper. You can go out and pay $100 and get a bunch of games, while on the Super Nintendo you might be lucky to get 5 in Australia, so I love it so much. So we have Jurassic Park, Steel Talons, I just remember these off by hand, Columns, Sonic Spinball, I really enjoy Sonic Spinball, Pinball game with Sonic the Hedgehog, Alien Storm, good beat 'em up, Forgotten Worlds, Revenge of Shinobi, which is another game I traded with the Thrift Rollers, Dick Tracy, which is actually really good on the Mega Drive. Biohazard Battle, cool horizontal shooter. Super Hide Allied, which is an RPG / roguelike. Thunder Force 2, I believe. J-League, Super Hang-On, Echo, Strider 2, which is okay, not the greatest. Samurai Showdown, which is a brilliant fighting game. Very technical Samurai Showdown is. Fighting Masters, which is not a technical fighting game. Puyo Puyo, which is a Dr. Eggman's Mean Bean Machine type of game. Sorcerian, which I cannot play because it's all in Japanese. Cheeky Cheeky Boys, which is a cool kind of Wonder Boy-like game. Super 6-in-1, which I cannot get working. Revenge of the Monsters, or King of the Monsters. Cool Godzilla kind of game. And my favorite publisher for the Mega Drive was EA. Back when they were doing good stuff, they published Zool, Mutant League Football, as well as Mutant League Hockey, and the F games, which this one is F-22 Interceptor. They are stealth pilot games, that's it. And Bithead 1000s, and my favorite game on the Mega Drive, Star Control. You play as a bunch of human or alien ships, and it's put on an asteroids like grid, so it plays like asteroids, same controls and everything, but each ship does different damage to other ships, so you have to use a lot of strategy when choosing which ship you're going to use to battle. Very, very cool game by Accolade. And finally we have my Nintendo Wii games. Don't have a whole lot. Sam Max Season 1, Gun Griffin, Resident Evil, Mad World, Obscure 2, House of the Dead Overkill, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing, Project Zero 2, which was a PAL exclusive, Chicken Shot, House of the Dead Overkill Collector's Edition, and Geometry Wars Galaxies. Don't have a whole lot of Wii games because I don't play it very often, but I am done. I'm just gonna lie on my back for a while. See you guys later.